Steve, you talk about in-game, and I want to talk briefly about visualization. How important for you is it not only to get something across fast, but to get it across in a way that the viewer can almost take the information via osmosis, so that they don't realise they've been statted, that they find it interesting but don't necessarily need to drill down into what it is?
Well, look, I mean, that penalty, last 5 penalties thing is a great example where you said, you know, and like I say, I've watched people watch that in all sorts of different environments. They take it in, and it adds an interest to the game. But look, largely, you know, we don't just shoehorn stats in for the sake of it, and those things are often sense checked by Danny or, you know, Stevie G or somebody like that. You know, where one of our guys will say, well, there's this fantastic possession stat in the first half, or look at this distance covered thing. And if Stephen says to us, that's irrelevant, then from his perspective, it's irrelevant. And then the second layer of that is, as I said, we're all football fans at our heart. So whilst you've got the gatekeepers of the ex-professional footballers who know the game better than any of us, and then it comes down to that next stage of us, you know, only giving viewers things that actually we think are relevant. And I think that, you know, Match of the Day have done, I keep talking about Match of the Day, obviously I'm a big fan, but, you know, down the years they've done things that quite simply, you know, popping up the minute of the game that you're in. You know, just that little thing that pops out of the clock, 63 minutes, all right, I know there's only 27 minutes of this game left, that's great. Never used to do that. And the stats they put up, you know, when a goal gets scored in the yellow corner at the top of the screen, those are the kind of things that I think broadcasters aspire to do. You know, we are under a remit with the Premier League to put in some stats about possession and stuff like that, but we'll only do them when they're relevant and when they tell a story. That's what we're all about.
But they don't always have to be thrust on people.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we'll discuss, we'll put some stats up on this or numbers on that player or that team, and we find ourselves having a conversation about the player or the team, and the stats just come up on screen.
Yeah, you can read it if you want to, you don't have to.
Sometimes I don't bother with it because the chat's good. But the viewer at home, he's either bored of me and has a look at the stats, or he's interested in the chat, or she's interested in the chat, and you know what I mean? So they can be softly...
I agree with that.
Some stats have to be explained, of course, because they're a bit more complex, but it's quite nice sometimes. I'm watching some, you know, listening to us, and then they just get kind of... You know, they don't always have to be so analytical. It's like, oh, look at the numbers here.
Yeah, and the developments in other parts of technology in broadcast media, certainly around the worlds of augmented reality, you know, mean that in days gone by, I mean, we still do it, obviously, of course, is we, you know, you would have to explain something with what we'd call a full frame graphic that pops up on the screen. And of course, you still want that for league tables and things that people actually like to sit at home and see. You know, my team have gone up 4 places, but certain other subtle things like, you know, BT Sport do on a Champions League night, or the BBC do on Match of the Day, is just have an AR graphic in the foreground, which is, you know, an augmented piece of reality which has a picture of Lukaku on it and his stats, and a camera just drifting through while the pundits are talking. So you don't have to stop everything anymore and say, hang on a second, here's a graphic, let's read it. You know, viewers can take things in, and we give them credit for being intelligent.